Hello,
Oh,
family.
hello,
Thank you for hearing us out. I'm Renee,
I am Curry.
and we want to wish everyone a happy New Year,
Mm-hmm.
and to thank you all for continuing to stick with us, and for the new listeners, thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.
And we were supposed to have a logo or something by now. At least that's what we thought. At least that's what we thought we would have. It's coming, family. So just be patient with us.
Yeah, and we were really thinking about what it is that this is the episode back after Christmas, New
Mhm.
Year's, and
Mhm.
all the holidays and whatnot, and really trying to think about you know what is it that we should talk about.
Mhm.
We talked about the things that we would like to see from a Biden administration, and
Mhm.
we talked about just that general feeling of just the tenor we would like to see for
Mhm.
the coming decade,
Right.
you know from the future, from us. And well, 2021 has not been around for a very long time. It's
Mhm.
only been like
What? 6
six
days?
days not even a week,
Right.
but it seems like a lot more of the same.
Yes. And I think what's happening is that we are not we're not confident in our decision making. A lot of this is just comfortable reactions, things that are happening over and
I
over
don't know how
and over
comfortable it
again.
is, but it
Well,
is
comfortable
reactions.
comfortable in the sense that, well, we know what's going to happen. We know the results. And so we just deal with that versus, you know, trying to do something else because, well, we don't know what those results are going to be.
Hmm.
You understand me? And I'm not saying that we are pleased with the guarantees. It's just that we just know what they are.
Hmm.
And so here we are again, with another decision not to prosecute, police officers who attempted to basically murder this man, Jacob Blake, and but instead, he's left paralyzed. And you're telling me that, well, oh, well, we couldn't do anything because as a prosecutor, I'm not confident, or that, it's not, it's shadow of a doubt,
Hmm.
conclusions. And the thing is that necessarily wasn't even your decision to make. But I don't even want to go on that tangent because it's tiresome. And at this point, you have folk who keep saying, look, there is no justice here. It's not, you know, we're moving towards it, we're getting towards it. Either it is or it isn't. Yeah, okay? Either you get the justice or you don't. You're either free or you don't. Or you're not. It's not this apprenticeship. I think that's what Amiri Baraka had mentioned. Uh, had mentioned one time before. Is that you know this is not an apprenticeship here, and all of these things that keeps happening. We keep going back to, uh, well, we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan of action. We don't have a plan. We don't have a plan. The reason why people are being shot down, you know, is not because we don't have a plan. I mean, this is it's it's ridiculous. In our society and what's happening, it is failing us, but we don't want to admit to that. We want to keep believing that, it's just, things are just slow, progress is slow and things are slow. Well, it feels as if it's only slow for those who are constantly, you know being wronged by institutions that are supposed to be protecting, supposed to be serving. So
So what is if we find ourselves here
again.
Not because
Mm-hmm.
of what we are lacking,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not because we don't have a plan. Then why exactly are we here?
Attitudes haven't changed.
Hmm.
You know, we can't at this point. It's almost it's almost insulting to tell me that you don't know. At this point, it's 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 not that it's almost. It is. It is insulting for you to tell me this. And so you are dealing, or that we are dealing with a society that keeps telling you F you. That's what it's doing. At every, it seems like it's happening at every waking moment of the day. And I don't know. Well, we've talked about things that, you know, we can do, starting with that shift in perspective and trying to move in another direction, a direction that we say that we actually want to go. But it seems as if, nah, that's not exactly what people want to do. Or that if they do want to do, it's such a small group, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's not that I'm not even frustrated at this point. I'm just totally disgusted and tired of 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 having this over and over and over again. And trying to understand, like, why are these things happening and why do they keep happening, and it's whatever basic decency. We don't we're not even doing that. It's always these hard line, measures, things that are over the top, that's unnecessary. And then, when it is unnecessary, you have so many folk who are arguing that, well, it is necessary. It's crazy, you know.
And so, what is uh, my question is now,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we are here because it's not because we don't have a plan. It's just the overall attitude and or mental
Mm-hmm.
um, growth or thinking
Mm-hmm.
of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Mental thinking seems kind of
Yeah,
redundant,
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's not is we're not acting like the type of people we say that we are,
Right. We're not
right?
acting as if we know. We're not even acting as well. I don't even know. Well, if thinking is a result of your action, well, thinking is supposed to evolve into your actions. So I see how you're acting, so I know what you're thinking.
Why?
Why is it that you are thinking the way that you're thinking?
Well, why is it that our attitude
Mm-hmm.
is not what we think is, the attitude we ought to have about these particular situations.
We
And what
have
is the attitude that we do have?
the attitude that we do have is that we don't think that human beings are all supposed to be treated with a level of dignity and respect. We think that, well, respect is earned. Like you have to do all of the, that you have to work for better treatment. You have to work for, you know, to just be seen as a human being. Like, it's because you're not doing something, because you're lacking something. So therefore, this is why we treat you the way that we treat you. And I think that's a crock of shit. I think there's something lacking within you that has you responding the way that you are responding to others. Maybe you don't see, others as human beings because you don't see yourself as one. And so you respond that way. I don't know. Because I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what keeps lending you to doing the things that you're doing. And the only thing that people are basically asking is for you to, like, not do those things. and then you come up with every rationale, every kind of way to justify what it is that you're doing. And so I
Well,
don't know.
I would say that a good place to start
Hmm.
would be from just the axiom that no villain thinks that they are the villain.
Yes. Yeah,
Every
every villain thinks that they're the good guy. They
that
think that
that
they're doing
that
something
they're
right.
the
Mhm.
good guy,
Yeah.
right? So if the idea is that you're having a hard time treating other people like they're people,
Hmm.
and so why is that?
Hmm.
You know, I think the question is because society makes it all too easy to rob someone of their humanity.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that when you think of all those things that are, good or right
Hmm.
of a person,
Hmm.
and all the things that are wrong, those things that are right are human,
Hmm.
right? Decency, honesty, respect, integrity, all that good stuff. Any type of platitude, right? And then you think about all of the things that are bad,
Hmm.
you know, um, um dishonesty and
Right.
cowardice and
Right.
stuff like that,
Hmm.
right? Well, then you say, well, those things that are bad are not human, right? So those people who exemplify or typify those things that we would consider bad are not human because they are falling short of said measure.
It's not, but see, I don't want to make it seem as if it's monster like, because people do fall short. People do, bad things. That's a part of being a person as well. The thing is that when you, I'm gonna say, weaponize it,
Weaponize what?
you know, the the lack of judgment, your lack of, if you think that, all right, like you mentioned about the villain doesn't see himself as a bad person or whatever. He thinks that he's doing, he doesn't see it that way. All right. So if you don't see your actions as bad, we have folk who don't, it doesn't make that villain or whatever the case may be, not a person. He or she is a person. But what they're doing is is taking that and inflicting it upon someone else. They can't even make, at least you're choosing not to even make, you know, a judgment where you don't think that another person would want what you want, or don't, or
And the
doesn't
thing
want.
is that another person does want what it is that I want, but for those who don't want it aren't human. It's easy. It's like when is when you say the words like criminal,
Mm-hmm.
like you're a criminal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, whatever that being a criminal in societal terms means those things that are illegal, right? To engage in illegal activity makes one a criminal, right? Right. But just because when you're talking about just in a grander sense,
Mm-hmm.
just because you do something illegal doesn't necessarily make you a bad person,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you say words like criminal or homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to because you think about all these draconian
Mm-hmm.
laws
Mm-hmm.
involving the homeless. About
Mm-hmm.
this person broke into a stadium like during
Mm-hmm.
COVID
Right.
and slept in the
Mm-hmm.
stadium where nobody was at.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't hurting nobody, wasn't doing anything, just
Mm-hmm.
needed a warm place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy ends up being arrested and taken to jail and all this other stuff. And now he's in a jail, in a prison
Mm-hmm.
where, COVID is running rampant and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you have a giant empty stadium that you can use to house people,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't do that. Or
Mm-hmm.
you have all these laws talking about like, you can't sleep in your car or you can't sleep on a bench, like just criminalizing
Right.
being homeless,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you say homeless, and then it's like, well, that person is failing, so it's like that is outside of the human. So it's easy to criminalize a homeless person because that person is bad or represents something bad, right?
Yeah, we see the homeless person as has
As not human.
his or her own personal failure versus a failure of
We
society.
see the homeless person as not a human being because the homeless person is homeless. We criminalize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, like I say, even just with the word criminal,
Right.
you use all of these things to to personify those things that are inhuman. But like for those who are, I would say, in it,
Mm-hmm.
you would say that struggling and being homeless and all of that stuff, or being a criminal, even all of that is a part of the human experience, and that the idea isn't to criminalize. The idea is to rectify. You don't want to just put people in prison, or you don't want people to be homeless. You don't want criminals, you don't want homeless people. So you want to, but instead you you're not doing things that get rid of
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere and environment that lends toward criminal criminal behavior or
Why?
homelessness. You're not doing that.
Why?
You're creating, you know, you're criminalizing, you're just punishing,
Right.
right?
Why?
Because that's what bad people deserve.
Mm. Okay.
Do villains deserve sympathy? Do bad people deserve, empathy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, think about Hitler. Does Hitler deserve any type of sympathy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
know it's easy to be like, well, that's two different things, but really, yes, it's two different situations, but the principle is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to to take that thing or whatever it is that you categorize as bad, and then make that thing and everything and everyone that falls into that inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pass all these laws and you do all these things, to codify it and to reinforce your own reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now it's illegal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now it's like with marijuana, right? Now marijuana is illegal. It
It's
was
legal now. I
I
mean,
know, no,
basically.
no. I'm saying like when it first came around,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And why?
Right, and then
And
you had movies like Reefer Madness and all this stuff,
mm-hmm.
and then you made it
And why was
illegal.
and why was it made illegal?
Well, we know why. We know why.
You know. Be,
Because I think it was primarily Latino and black people,
mm-hmm.
and were uh, lower class white people who were partaking
Mm-hmm.
in this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became emblematic of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oh, you don't do that
Yeah.
because
Yeah. If you smoke
you
weed,
fall outside of
yeah.
you fall outside cultural norms and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but you do all that and you criminalize it because you criminalize marijuana, then all of a sudden it's illegal, right? Which means that if you do it, you go from being more than just someone who falls short of a societal norm. Now you're a criminal. Now you're on the now you are something that we can punish, right? You're a bad person. You're all that stuff because you're a criminal and you're doing something illegal, right? It's so you look at you say the same thing about a murderer, a thief, or a rapist, and then you take all that stuff and you can apply it to anything, right? That you deem illegal. that you could then criminalize. Same thing with homelessness. Same thing with drug use, right? Same thing with black people, right? You have criminalized being black.
Mm-hmm.
I can't walk anywhere.
Right.
I can't drive anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I can't engage in any type of economic system. I can't work in your
Mm-hmm.
buildings. I can't. I could barely vote.
Mm-hmm.
You've criminalized being black.
Right. All the way down to how I wear my hair.
Yeah, all the way down to
Right.
all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You've criminalized it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy, for people, but you're not saying black,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're saying thug.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying homeless.
Right.
You're saying all these things, right? But the thing is when you start saying those words, that encapsulates more than black people. But that's not how it's being imparted to you, right? You take all these buzzwords and then you associate them with us so you can criminalize us.
Mm-hmm.
But a whole bunch of people, and families fall under that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But then those people who fall under it aren't looking at, the system that created this umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
but they're looking at us
Mm-hmm.
because those terms that have been used against us are now being levied against them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's our fault.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not black.
Right. Stop treating me like I'm black.
I'm not
right.
Latino.
Mm-hmm.
I may be poor.
Mm-hmm.
I may be a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not, I'm not a minority.
Right. I'm not black.
I'm not black.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be this way.
Mm-hmm.
But it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because, criminalizing and penalizing, all of that is a means to an end. Somebody has to be under. Somebody has to be, like I said, that's the very nature of profit.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to get less for someone else to get more.
Mm-hmm.
And the more people who get less, the more you can get,
mm-hmm.
the more profit there is to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's become all of us in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's looking every which way because they feel like the goalpost has been moved. Right?
Yes.
And it has.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It has. But really the aesthetic has always been the same. Right? Because
mm-hmm.
I said even during Reconstruction and Jim Crow, there were poor white people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Poor white people complaining about the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? About how they're not getting a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
And then when these civil rights leaders come along and start talking about them, black people aren't getting a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, they're being coddled
mm-hmm.
and they're whining
mm-hmm.
and they're, looking for an easy ride and easy deal and all that stuff. Right? But instead of today, back then you could just lynch someone. You could just kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not to say there aren't lynchings today, but it's not standard practice. It's not as standard, not as ubiquitous today as it is back then.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how you deal with issues today, right? Because back then you could just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Today you gotta. I don't want to say you can't because you still can just murder people, but you're more likely to go to jail. I would say something like that. It's not. It's not the same. And I'm sure we can all agree on that. It's not the same. But the point that I'm making here is that back then you could just, lynch someone or you just burn down the whole neighborhood and stuff like that. But today, what you're doing is you're criminalizing. You're using these buzzwords. You're galvanizing, a people who are getting a short end of the stick and using them as a buffer against those other people who are getting a raw deal, short end of the stick, right? And that's the same thing with lynchings. Same thing with all this stuff. It's poor white people, who feel like their status is being threatened by poor black people, and feel like they need to keep poor black people poor and just use that to rectify, the poor white people situation, right? But you, like I say, you do all that, and who ends up getting taken care of? Not you,
Mm-hmm.
because you're still poor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you are a buffer. You have decided, let's say, you've put yourself on the other side of this argument.
Mm-hmm.
You have made us out to be your enemies,
Mm-hmm.
right? We didn't make you out to be our enemies.
Right.
We're simply calling you out on the crap that you're doing.
Right.
We didn't, it's not, if we say that you're using police brutality and you're killing innocent black people and you're doing all these things, that isn't us creating some fabrication.
Right.
We're not making stuff up.
Right.
Unlike y'all who are being lied to.
Right.
Right. And you're looking for every shred of just nonsense
Mm-hmm.
to back up your logic. But black people kill 50 million white people per year. Like
Right.
just
Just
absolute
make
BS.
this right.
Nothing. Like
Right.
that's not founded in any. What are
Right.
you talking about?
Right.
You just want that to be true to
Mhm.
justify what it is that you feel.
Right.
Right. But if we're saying stop police brutality, stop systemic racism, you see that as a threat to you. You
Right.
see that as us whining and,
Mhm.
and trying to levy our position, for to get over you,
Mhm.
right? Because you've decided to stand over there,
Mhm.
and you've decided to use whatever, like I said, what little meager authority this society gives you over us.
Mhm.
You've decided to hold on to that instead of trying to rectify your own situations.
Mhm.
And you keep trying. You keep looking at us. You keep coming at us. You keep killing us.
Right.
Where's it gotten you? Nowhere.
Mhm.
Right? Has it gotten us anywhere?
For damn sure, that's a
But,
guy. That's
that's
right.
kind of the point.
Right.
But you're still poor.
Mhm.
You're still homeless.
Mhm.
You're still hungry. And guess what? You can still go to jail for being homeless too, because that person who broke was a white man
Mhm.
who broke into a stadium
Mhm.
and was looking for a warm bed to sleep.
Mhm. Yeah. Like I keep saying, those long lines for miles and miles.
And the police were
for
created.
Food. That's not us in those
they were
lines,
created,
right?
for two things,
Mhm.
right? To catch, runaway slaves,
Mhm.
and to bust those unions up in the north.
Right. Right.
They existed to protect property.
Right.
That's what the police was created for.
Mhm.
Back then, we were considered property, but so was those businesses and those buildings.
Mhm.
So you got the blunt end of the stick as well.
Mhm.
But the thing is that when we start saying,
Right.
"Oh, the police is wrong," it can't be this anymore.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's us complaining and whining and bitching and moaning,
Right.
and trying to pull one over you,
Right.
because you're too concerned in what it means for you. You're looking
Right.
at you because you're putting yourself on the other side.
Right.
Right.
You have decided to make us
It's
your enemy, your competition.
You whine about
Right.
the police,
Right.
right? You whine about violence in these communities, right?
Mhm.
Or the drug crisis and all these things, and how ineffective the police have been now and then
Mhm.
in truly being able to deal with the situation.
Right.
Because it seems like, if you just start beating up drug addicts, it's not going to make them not drug addicts.
Right.
If you criminalize being drug addicts, they're still going to be drug addicts.
Mhm.
Seems like, okay, maybe you need another approach.
Right.
You need to, maybe you need some counseling.
Mhm.
People need some help.
Right.
Because this is an addiction.
Right.
And addiction is a sickness.
Right.
And if you were to treat it like it is a sickness,
Mhm.
and these people are sick,
Right.
then you might be able to help them.
Right.
But when it was us,
right, and we say those same things.
That was the
Right.
exact same rhetoric that we were using,
Right.
back when Nixon declared his war on drugs.
Mhm.
Right. But we know what the playbook was with
Right.
back, with Nixon.
Right.
Right. But we were saying that then.
Mhm.
We were saying when you're criminalizing
Mhm.
these drugs and stuff just so you can criminalize being black.
Right.
Nah, no. See, but
No.
are you not drug addicts?
Yep.
Are you not doing this? Are you not doing
Drugs
that?
are illegal.
And
So
all
it
that-
is all right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You create these laws, and it's easy for you to dehumanize someone when you're creating the other. You
Mhm.
put yourself on the other side,
Mhm.
right? And you're not a bad guy. You just don't want drugs in your community,
Mhm.
right? You
Right.
don't want the criminals. You don't want the to let the wolves in the hen house,
Mhm.
to let the inmates run the asylum.
Mhm.
There needs to be some sense of order, some sense of stability, and you feel threatened, and you should feel threatened,
Mhm.
but not by us,
Right.
because we're all in the same We're all in the same position.
Right.
You don't want to see it that
Right.
way.
You don't see it that way.
No, you
That's
can't
you
see
can't
that.
see it. That's what I'm saying. You don't see it that way.
Mhm.
You can't see it that way. And so now what's happening is that it's all coming to
It's all coming to a head.
it's all coming to
Well,
a
you
head.
would think so.
Well,
But
yeah.
we're still having the same conversation.
Yeah.
Right? He should just deal with the police told him to do and all that good stuff. You know, and you keep going because you don't see how this is being levied against you.
Right.
You don't see, like I said, what systemic racism and racism is costing you.
Mhm.
What it means and what it is costing you to be a buffer for them, to
Mhm.
stand against us.
Right.
And that's all that ever gets to. That's all
Mhm.
you ever do
Mhm.
is stand against us.
Right.
And we have nothing. We have nothing. Society has made sure of that.
Mhm.
We have no property. We have no money.
Mhm.
You know, we have no power,
Mhm.
no means. We thought we had power. Evidently, we don't.
Right.
Right? We put a black man in office
Mhm.
for 8 years, and now he's sitting around. I don't know what the fun the police
This
means.
means right.
So
Oh, you
evidently-
shouldn't say that. Right.
Yeah. So
right.
evidently, we don't got no power even with a black man in office.
That's right.
We ain't got no power.
Right.
We don't have anything to us. I always say you talk about this deep state conspiracy about these extreme leftists who are using their satanic pedophile money
Right.
to control the world, and then I'm like, and they're prioritizing helping black people, and I always say, show us,
Show us. Yeah.
where's it at?
Yeah.
Where's this building that George Soros has paid for in the black community?
Mhm.
Right? Where's it at? Where's all this money? Show
Where,
us, please.
where are all these great jobs? And
Yeah.
because when I step outside and I know where I live,
Mm-hmm.
I see it on a day, and I'm like, no, that's not it.
Yeah. So where's it at? Where's it at? Where is it? Would you point it to us?
Mhm.
Because it's non-existent.
Mhm.
But like I said, instead of listening and standing with us, you would rather believe in conspiracy theories
Mhm.
and just absolute nonsense because you cannot see what it means for you to
Right.
stand over there.
Mhm.
You can only see it as standing against us,
Right.
because we're a threat to you.
Right.
And your life is under threat.
Right.
And all these things.
And they pick
it's
your
not-
pockets
Yeah.
because of it. Because our pockets, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what else is there to even take from us. Okay, so now they're picking your
They're picking-
pockets.
Yeah, we don't got nothing to
We
take.
don't have anything, and you still in your, I guess, in your own frustration, your own denial.
Because, like I said, you are under threat.
Mhm.
You are in danger. Your
Mhm.
communities are falling apart.
Right.
You are getting a raw deal. You're getting a shot into the stick. But you're looking at it from us.
Right.
Like we have some power to be able to take from you.
Mhm.
We don't.
Mhm.
Your Ku Klux Klans and your Proud Boys and your Trumps and your Republicans and your Democrats and
Mhm.
your politicians in general,
Right.
society in general.
Mhm.
Everything has made sure that we have absolutely
Absolutely
no
nothing.
power
That's
to
right.
take from you.
That's right.
But your pockets are still empty.
Right.
When you're looking over at us, I say my pockets are empty. You don't believe me
Right.
because you don't live here.
Right.
You don't see this.
Mhm.
You can only see it from where you're living
Mhm.
and from the threat that you're under.
Right.
Right. And you go to your bars and to your rooms and stuff like that. And look, it's not like we're saying that you're a victim. We're saying, you and I are saying,
Mhm.
right? But what we're saying, look, man, you're getting more than us.
Mhm.
Society, all this has been skewed in your favor,
Right.
and it is
Yes.
from our point of view.
Mhm.
And it's not like you're not getting more out of the deal,
Mhm.
quote unquote.
Mhm.
You're getting more money, right? You're getting more stability,
Mhm.
but it's like I said, it's not really stability
Mhm.
because you're looking over here. So
Right.
so evidently your pockets are empty.
Mhm.
It's not stable for you, but I don't believe you. And people say, well, I'm just saying. I'm
Mhm.
just saying.
Right.
I'm not saying that the threat that we're under is not real. That the threat that
Right.
we're under from dealing with them is not real,
Yes.
and that they have not, perpetuated this, and they aren't looking for profit,
Mhm.
right? Because a part of the profit is keeping us down,
Right.
and is victimizing and brutalizing us.
Mhm.
That is a part of it, right? But if they are looking for some security, some stability, they're not getting that.
Mhm.
Not from here.
Right.
Not from here. And evidently, that's what they're looking for, because that's why they keep turning back towards us.
Mhm.
So you don't have it,
Mhm.
but I have a hard time believing you because, like I said, you're holding a gun.
Mhm.
You're holding a gun.
Right.
You won't press charges. You won't do your goddamn job.
Right. And you're telling me that you can't do your job, so you need to be out of that job.
Listen, you won't you won't even do the simplest thing.
That's right.
You won't lose for us.
Right.
You, even if it was a perfect case, you won't even win for us.
Right.
We won't win for us. Or like the black dude.
The one in Kentucky.
In Kentucky.
Right.
I'm about to say Tennessee, whatever. One of them.
What a state. Yeah.
We won't even win for us.
Right.
You just won't do it. You just won't do it. All right, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So now what?
What do we do now?
Right.
Simple. It's simple, but like I said, it is up to those who know.
Mm-hmm.
If we know better, then we have to do better. Like you said, we can't afford to say that the person holding the gun is not a victim.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say that we're not victims because we know we're victims.
Yes.
But we have to accept that they're victims too.
Mm-hmm. That they are being used.
Mm-hmm. And that when we build, we aren't building from a place of trying to win a war, trying to beat them. They're building.
That's already in place.
They've built on beating us, and this is what it's amounted to. But we think we can do it better. Right, because it's when all those bad things, you put it over there, and it's inhuman. We aren't humans to them; they aren't humans to us. And here we go in this circle. Nobody's willing to learn from history, right? Because we're looking at it as a battle between the forces of good and the forces of evil, instead of seeing the waxing and waning of the human condition. We refuse to learn. None of it. It's like we're here in America, and people say buzzwords like communists and socialists and fascists and all these things. Like we have all these lessons from history, all these things, all these tools that we can implement. But we won't implement anything like right because socialists and fascists and communists. It is like we won't learn from history. We won't even use those things that we have in our tool belt. We will refuse to do that because we refuse to learn. Because you refuse to accept these things as human. The criminal is a human being, and he has to be treated with respect. Even if he doesn't, I've talked about this before, even if they don't deserve it, they're the ones who especially need it. The ones who in particular don't deserve it, because it's not about them. It's about you, not about what they take. It's about what you give. And that's what it all comes down to. And so if the lawyer won't press charges, I think the Democrats, one of the in the Senate runoff in Georgia won one. We're still waiting on the results for the other.
Don't worry. Well, he wanted to, but that's fine.
We'll see. But guess what? I don't have any faith in them.
I sure don't. Right.
Now they got control of the Senate, and what stuff still won't happen.
Yep.
Y'all still gonna be complaining, and whining, and bitching, because they're losers, and serial failures.
That's right. You're wimps.
They have control of Senate. You want to sit, man? They sent back, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Come to find out, Republicans still. Because I don't even want to get into it.
Yes.
I don't even want to get into it.
Right.
So it all comes down to, what do we do? When I say we, I mean it, the people who know.
Right.
For the people who know better. For the people who want to know better. For the people who desperately need to know better. What do we do? And there's a quote from the very first book in Dune, where Duke Leto, his Paul's dad, says that you never complain about justice when you can take it for yourself. If somebody else had to give it to you, it wasn't going to be justice to begin with. So it doesn't matter if you would have won that case. If those police officers would have went to jail, it still wouldn't have been justice. Because justice lies in what we can create for ourselves.
And what you can do, correct.
And what you can do.
All right. And I know that sounds familiar to us, because I don't know how many of our own, thinkers have said pretty much the exact same thing.
I'm like, I have a shirt for this quote. Don't complain about freedom or justice when you can take it for yourself.
Right.
We can't rely on them.
Right.
And when I say on them, I mean on the people
Who does
who have a vested interest
interest? Mm-hmm.
in making sure that things stay the way that they are.
Mm-hmm. We know that something is wrong. We've been knowing that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This buffer class that's being used against us, you know, if they didn't know, they know now.
Mm-hmm.
They know now, and so right now what you see is total chaos within their circle.
Within that buffer.
Right. You see, Seattle, Portland, Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
right? You see Proud Boys and Wolverines. They are just they are acting out amongst themselves.
We've seen that before.
We've seen that before.
You see that with us.
Right. You understand me? So they're dealing with their issues.
They're
They're
dealing
having
with the exact same
thing,
issues
right,
that we're
dealing with.
They're being eaten alive by a system that purports to be on their side.
Right.
And they don't know how to make heads or tails of it.
Right.
They don't know what to do.
Right. They even know that confronting us, or pointing the finger at us is not working. They know that.
Yeah, but they're falling back on old things.
Yeah, of course.
Like you say,
yeah.
You're seeing nooses and all this all this old iconography and all this old stuff. Yeah. You've seen all this before.
But, right.
Because you're rudderless.
Right.
You're lost. You can't see the forest through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what to do.
Right.
Because
what is it that you have to give up, to gain something else?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want to gain and have to give up?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that buffer is. We've been there.
Yeah, we are there.
We are there. You understand?
Welcome to the club.
Right. And so now you have to have your moments. You have to recognize, you have to acknowledge and take responsibility for it.
The answer lies in who we decide to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many times I've said
this, right.
but it's not a building.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a book.
Right.
It's a people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a culture. It's a way of being. It's a way
right.
of thinking. Once you decide who you are, then you have to be it to the very end.
And you have to be it wherever you are.
For all its advantages and disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
For all the place it takes you and all the possibilities it makes impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be it.
Right.
You have to stand.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it. And that's how you make justice. It is in who we decide to be. The reason why we constantly find ourselves back here is twofold. It's because they keep doing it and we keep ignoring it. And I know that people are like, what do you mean we're ignoring it?
Right.
We are addressing it. We get upset. We do all these things, but we don't change. We don't become the people that can move past something like that. That can create justice from something like that.
Right.
We aren't. We
right. How is it now? How is it that we create justice from the injustice? I would say that was just shown to us. How do we do that?
And I just think back to the speech in Invisible Man.
Okay.
When the eulogy.
Right. For Brother Todd. Yeah.
For Brother Todd. When he's talking to all this, he talks about. We have failed. We are failing. This man should not be dead.
Right.
I shouldn't be giving his eulogy. But I'm standing here right now, and most likely I'm going to be standing here again.
Again, that's right.
Because we have failed and we continue to fail. We continue to be the people who do this type of stuff. To be the people who let these type of things happen to them. And what I'm not talking about, now we got to build a fort and we got to, train our warriors and be ready to. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. Because that's not moving past. That's giving in. Right. You're fighting on their terms. You're doing it their way in the only language that they understand.
Right.
You're giving up power. If you refuse to speak in your own language, to make manifest their own truth and only operate in manifesting their truth, because that's the only truth they can understand, then you have surrendered. It doesn't matter how rah-rah you feel with the gun in your hand and your black berets. It doesn't matter. What forts you build. You've given up. You've surrendered.
Right. You're speaking the exact same language. You're
the
doing
language of the masters.
Right.
You're the pigs.
Right.
In animal form.
Right. Right.
You're sitting at the table with the man, and all the other animals can't tell you apart.
Right.
Because you think you're different because you're doing it now. That's not how the world works. It's never been how it works. We have to stand on our morals. We have
Mhm.
to speak our own language.
Mhm.
We have to do it our way,
Way.
not their way.
Mhm.
But the thing is, we've never truly defined what our
Our way
way
is.
really is. Because, truth be told, their way is our way. It has been the way we've built our empires, how we've ordered our societies,
Mhm.
war and winning and
Right.
all that stuff.
And just right
Kings,
now,
queens,
they are the ones who are quote
who are
unquote at the top,
at the top,
and so they are doing things to maintain
to
that.
maintain
And
that.
so for us, we feel like, well, we need to do those type of things and even more to get back on top.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they
you
have,
are absolutely right.
yes, and but that formula,
Mm-hmm.
that plan, whatever you want to call, that's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And it's led us
it's right,
here.
right. But what I'm saying
It's
is
the
that
only place that can possibly lead a people.
right. So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
That has always been available to us because we think that we're saying something differently or that we're doing something differently when we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not the case. And we know that something is wrong with that because we keep coming back to the same point over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I always contend that, we say the same things, but we're not speaking the same language,
Mm-hmm.
or we could speak the same language and we're not saying the same things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's what needs to happen. We need to speak our language.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to do the things that we say that we need to do in order to come out of this.
And we need to be able to define that.
Right.
And the best thing about it is that it has been defined.
Mm-hmm.
We know what it means to be a human being,
Right.
what honesty and integrity and decency looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We know what that means.
Right.
But the thing is that we look at it as a resource, and we try to dole it out
Mm-hmm.
to the places we think they're going to be most useful.
Right.
But they're not a resource.
Mm-hmm.
It's our senses.
Right.
It is the thing we use to be able to understand our reality.
Mm-hmm.
As necessary as sight, as formative as feeling. That's what decency and honesty and integrity is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick and choose what you see and
Right.
what you hear and where your senses are best served. You use them everywhere, every time. Right here is the most pivotal time
Yes.
in which they are necessary.
Right.
You see what happens when we decide to, blind ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
blunt our senses.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens to a people who ignore themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Who are, like I said, who are in denial,
Mm-hmm.
who would rather see themselves as good, bad people instead of bad, good people.
Mm-hmm.
We are failing at being good.
Right.
So it's about time we start to pass,
Mm-hmm.
to do what we need to do to succeed. And it's like I said, it's not in the building.
Right.
All that stuff comes after.
Right.
It's not in the building either.
Right. Right.
You build from who you are,
Right.
but the thing is, you have to be it first.
Right.
The
building doesn't come first. You come
first. Period.
Right. We've had buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And the mindset didn't change.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened. These buildings are closed now.
Yeah.
These buildings are empty. They've been.
'Cause that's all you had.
That's all you had was the building. And then when the building goes, we cry, we get upset,
And then we feel like we have no choice to go back to what's already been built.
Right.
To go back to their stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
so
it's like we said before, with can we be African without Africa?
Right.
And
I mentioned before that the answer has to be yes because of how it is that we have defined.
Can we continue to be builders without buildings? Can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
We have to be.
Right.
Because none of this is for you. None of it is meant for you. It's not yours.
Right.
The only thing that is ours is society and culture. The things we have decided to define as human.
Right.
The places won't be there. The land won't be there. The land is going to change. Things are going to change.
Right.
It's always how it rolls.
Right.
The thing is, you're going to have to persist. You're going to have to persist. Right? And like I said before, evolution doesn't take the most expedient path. It doesn't take the best route. Well, that's the thing, because it does take the most expedient path. It will do the thing. Evolution will kill you in the end. Just like what's it with the whales, and you look at the whales, and you see that the buoyancy that they use to stay under the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they take the oxygen deposit and deposit it in their bones. They all have brittle bones.
Mm-hmm.
You see these giant bubbles you're in their bones
Mm-hmm.
because that's how their bodies deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do the best thing. It
Right.
hasn't evolved best. The body started doing that one day, and it could,
Right.
and
And,
so it
and it
just
worked.
kept doing
Right.
it. It worked, and
Right.
it just kept doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept doing it,
Mm-hmm.
even when it kills them. Because evolution is not about efficiency; it's about existing.
Mm-hmm.
But living has to be about something else.
Right.
We already exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or according to some philosophical thoughts, we don't.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother
You
conversation
know,
right there.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
like Rene Descartes says, "I think, therefore I am." But
Mm-hmm.
every philosopher on this side of the 21st century has been like, not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not that easy. But depending on but nobody ever doubts their own existence.
Mm-hmm.
They doubt the existence of everything else, but we know them ourselves to be real.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're real, we're real, or we all just figments, it doesn't change the fact that we have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We get to choose how this looks.
Right.
We get to choose how to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to take those things that are axiomatic to good people and make them indispensable.
Mm-hmm.
We can't allow ourselves to dehumanize people or to create these buzzwords and try to work our societal magic to criminalize and all that nonsense that doesn't actually address the problem.
Right. We know what that is. We know what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like it. And so if that's not the answer for us, if that's not, obviously that's not the answer for them. So it can't be the answer for us. We can't do the same thing and expect a different result unless that is the result that you actually want. Then if that's what you want, then everything is already here for you to do just that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know something is wrong there. You know it. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to even get into all it. You know something is wrong. Mm-hmm. So we have to start speaking not out of fear, mm-hmm. desperation. Mm-hmm. We need to speak and act with a sense of agency.
Yes.
As if, we do have, you can control you.
Mm-hmm. At the very least.
At the most basic thing is that you can control you. Mm-hmm. That's where you start.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to start with you. And then we're going to take you from there. And there are mm-hmm. things that you have to do. But that's where you start. Mm-hmm. And so I know when I saw the thing with Jacob Blake, mm-hmm. I was disgusted. I'm like, I'm tired of this. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're tired too.
We're all tired.
We're all tired. And so it's time for us to do what we know we need to do. Mm-hmm. And I know it's hard because what's happening right now, this is easy. Mm-hmm. It's easy.
And we often think it does not require decency.
Right. So you have to make the decision. Mm-hmm. And the decision is yours to make alone. Mm-hmm. And then from there, movement can be made. Yeah. But you have to make that decision.
So in conclusion, mm-hmm. This feeling of
here we go again.
Here we go again. Mm-hmm. New Year, same old stuff. Mm-hmm. And that isn't going to go away until those who know, mm-hmm. like I said, or those who want to know or those who need to know, decide to be what they know, mm-hmm. to act upon what they know, and decide to change what it means to succeed, to mm-hmm. exist, and to live. Mm-hmm. Once we do that, everything else falls into place. Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that there won't be any challenges, because mm-hmm. I think, again, this is not going to come with ease. Mm-hmm. This that we have right now has not come with ease.
Well,
Well,
has come with ego. That's the problem. It's
well,
laziness.
it is laziness. But what I'm saying, the pain and those type of things,
Yeah.
that's not the ease. So recognize that even with that there's
It's
going
going.
to
It's
be,
going to it's going to be work.
yes,
It's going to be challenges, but it's not going to be winning a war.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said before, wars are compromise.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be what you think you are. It's impossible for you to be.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to be what we say we are, what we know we are, then it's not about speaking to them in the only language that they can understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's about speaking in our language and having our language until it's the only one. It's the only one that can possibly exist and
Mm-hmm.
quantify our reality.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that as long as we decide to live in that language, then it's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way we know how to change it is by speaking more of it, which doesn't really change anything.
Right.
So we need to, like I said, make impossible inoculation,
Mm-hmm.
To where we're not bending down to slap a child.
Mm-hmm.
So we're standing up straight until the child eventually has to reach us. And at that point, you won't be a child anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And like we said, and we're not saying, I don't know how many times I have to say it, we're not saying not to defend yourself.
Right.
We're not saying not to do common sense things when a clear and present danger is in front of you.
Right.
We're not saying that. But we're saying that defining a culture, being a people that has decided to be a people of war and weapons, and being we cannot weaponize our history. We cannot weaponize our culture.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot weaponize our being.
Mm-hmm.
These are, we keep saying, we gotta prepare them for the battle, you do that and you push people away. You push your own away.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is real life. We're dealing with people, and nobody wants to be that people.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be that people. Not even the people who are it. Nobody wants to be it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the goal we need to have in mind. Instead of telling those among us what we need to be, we need to allow them, give them the space to be what they want to.
Right.
And people want to be good.
Mm-hmm.
We need to build a world to where that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Where not only is it possible, but you can succeed at it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only can you succeed at it, it's the only way to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you can move. That's the only way you can exist.
Mm-hmm.
Is in right.
Right.
If we say that's the case, then that's what we have to do. And that's, like I said, it's in a people. It's in the people that go beyond their land and their buildings. That go beyond even their words.
Mm-hmm.
It's just instinctual. It's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the hardest decision that we as a people are ever going to have to make.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, when you make that decision, there is no going back. There is no glory in Egypt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Once you decide to see the blood.
Mm-hmm.
No more easy answers. No
Right.
more scapegoats. You can't just hate people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do that
anymore.
Mm-hmm. But once you give all that up, you will have no choice, but to be what you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a one and done thing.
Of course not. Right.
You keep going, you keep trying, you fail. Because I know when I heard that there was a lot. When I heard about prosecutors not pressing charges, not doing a goddamn jobs,
mm-hmm.
there was a lot of hate there.
Right.
Me.
All right. So,
but the thing is
right.
that you have to have the presence of mind
mm-hmm.
to know that you can't build from that.
Right.
And it's a lesson that I've had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You can't build from it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow it to define you. You have to acknowledge it, face it, let it wash over you, but act like you have some common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And really, at the end of the day, that's all we've ever been saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just grow up. Act like you have some home training. So, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments, and thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.